From our Main Street newsroom, this is 2 News Live at 3:30.
3:30, we are live this afternoon. Dolly Parton mourned across the country how her legacy will live on here in the state of Utah as we bring you that live look this afternoon. And back to school and the topic of bullying. Parents are calling on Utah's largest school district, and so are we. Also, your bike ride might look a little different. Some big changes for those who share the road and trails as we take a live look from downtown Salt Lake City this afternoon. This will impact those in Salt Lake County. Thanks for joining us here this afternoon. I'm Brian Cheney. This is 2 News Live, where we try to see what's going on live all across the state of Utah. And we are live in downtown Salt Lake for you this afternoon from our newsroom. Don't mind the people working hard. Also working hard, meteorologist Chase Thomason. Thanks for being with us as always. It's working hard. You have been looking at a very active system, if you will, over and over and over again with monsoon moisture. What are you looking at right now?
Yeah, not as active now going forward. We have some slightly drier air moving in. So we've had these daily showers and thunderstorms. Still going to have a few of those. However, not as many compared to the last several days. You can see on radar right now, most of the storms confined to the mountains, the high Uintas, seeing some lightning, some brief heavy rainfall. We've had some very spotty showers in the Wasatch back south of Park City near Jordanelle, and a few showers now developing on the west side of Utah Lake. So these very hit or miss storms are going to be the kind of trend for the next couple days, but definitely not as active compared to last weekend and yesterday. But our next weather maker, Brian, is going to be a cold front. We're still dealing with this heat. Hot temperatures well above average. We're going to be in the mid to upper 90s for the next few days. But notice it's a pretty significant cool down coming this weekend as we dip into the low to mid 80s. And that's kind of being conservative right now with that forecast. We'll see if that colder air moves in. Kind of hard for those cold fronts to hit us as we wrap up the month of August. But that's the time, September, we start to see our first cold fronts in. It's coming.
I know you and I have talked about the monsoon over the last couple of weeks. Would you classify this as a pretty active monsoon compared to what we've seen in years past?
Yeah, very active monsoon. We've had about 1 inch and 3/10 here in Salt Lake City. We average about a ½ inch of rain for the month of August, so more than double that. July was also above normal. Of course, that's just for the airport. Some areas seeing a whole lot more than that, and we've had some pretty active monsoon weather, and that's going to continue for a few more days.
All right, Chase, thank you. We'll see you coming up on 2 News at 4 o'clock.
Sounds good.
Also taking a live look here from our newsroom as we wander over and talk more about that e-bike story we talked about at the beginning of the newscast here. So Salt Lake County, this could look different for you if you are riding, commuting, using the e-bikes to become very popular. Not just all main roads here, but pathways, different parts of Salt Lake County. Natalie Wattis looking into this meeting that's taking place today. She joins us live here on 2 News Live this afternoon. So Natalie, what is this meeting all about, and what were the discussions, and what is all of this about in terms of e-bikes and people that use these here within the county?
Yeah, hey, good afternoon, Brian. Lots of good questions. So in my hands right here, I'm holding that ordinance that was discussed in the county council meeting this afternoon. It actually just wrapped up. This ordinance passed its first reading. So when the county is trying to pass an ordinance, it has to go through 2 different readings. So it's passed its first hurdle, if you will. But essentially, what the county is trying to do is pass a law that says, hey, this is what an e-bike is. This is what we're classifying them as. This is where they're allowed to be, and this is where they're not allowed to be. And just to give it to you in the most basic terms here, they're saying that e-bikes would not be allowed to go more than 20 miles per hour on trails and pathways. We're talking about places that you would go hike or paved pathways in these unincorporated areas. And they're not allowed, certain classes will not be allowed to be on those naturally occurring trails that aren't paved. So this again passed its first reading. They'll have a second reading at their next meeting coming up next week where the public can comment and weigh in. And we're keeping an eye on this, and I'll have my full report about what people think about this and what the counselor who is actually sponsoring this ordinance has to say about it and why they're tackling this now.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, Natalie. Just a quick follow-up to you as somebody who doesn't use an e-bike, so this is not exactly my realm, but were there incidents, were there reasons why they felt they needed to kind of clamp down on this, and they've taken this now to the official measures?
Yeah, right. So Councilwoman Suzanne Harris is the one who's presenting this ordinance, and she told me they've been hearing from constituents about how unsafe people felt on trails if they had e-bikes zooming past them. And then, of course, we've been ourselves reporting on e-bike incidents all around Utah and the state, and different cities dealing with them in different ways, and ordinances that have been passed on the state level. And Brian, I just want to point out too, this ordinance is only dealing with the unincorporated areas of Salt Lake County, and mostly in the southwestern portion of the county. That's where we are now. I'm standing in Harriman, a little ways off from the mouth of the Yellow Fort Canyon. So it's areas like this that they're trying to put definitions in, and then depending on how this ordinance goes, there are discussions about expanding it later on with their Parks and Recreation Department.
All right, Natalie Wattis reporting live here for us on 2 News Live at 3:30. Natalie, thank you for that clarification as well, mentioning exactly where this would impact. So something we'll be keeping an eye on here. A lot of news related to this afternoon. Dolly Parton, the country music icon whose career spanned nearly 6 decades, has died at the age of 80. We have a live look for you at a growing memorial here for her. Parton was known for hits like Jolene and 9 to 5, along with her acting and philanthropy. And just last week, we spoke about her Imagination Library, which has provided millions of books to children nationwide and here in Utah. We will get to more of that in just a moment. This has been a talker over the last number of years now. Canada says it will match the United States' current tariff dollar for dollar here, adding up to more than $20 billion. Live look from Toronto right now. YYZ, what's up? Hardest hit will be U.S. steel and aluminum at 50%. But there's more at stake than just tariffs in the escalating trade war. Canada has signaled it would consider cutting some exports to the United States. And Canada is actually the second largest export market for U.S. products. Jim Spiewak will join us here towards the tail end of the 3:30 half hour to take a deeper dive into this topic and how that could impact us here in the state of Utah. The Trump administration wants to see a $103,000 fee for H-1B visas. The proposal comes months after a federal judge rejected the government's previous attempt to require a $100,000 application fee, as we give you a live look from the White House this afternoon here on 2 News Live. In the latest proposal, the administration says the fee will go towards recovering the costs of running the immigration system in the United States. And they say will also encourage companies to hire American workers and pay them more. It could be months before the proposal is finalized, and of course that could face legal challenges. Let's head over into our content center here. Jonathan May joining me to take a look at what's going on digitally, something that you're able to get on the tablet, on your phone, on the go, that sort of thing. First things first, this video here sent to us yesterday showing what was going on near Bryce Canyon, and it's gnarly. I see you've got it looped.
Yeah, looped video here of those rushing waters near Bryce Canyon. Of course, the heavy rain, the flash flooding did trap visitors in Bryce Canyon. 2 people were hospitalized for hypothermia. So yeah, a lot going on over there with Mother Nature.
You've also got this on our KUTV.com webpage as well. A lot of people are clicking into this. I want to go to the Zion Rockfall article, which is the next one right over here, and also that video. That is remarkable. We do see this almost every year at some point within Zion National Park. Have they restarted those shuttle services?
Yeah, the shuttle services are back open. I did check the website just a moment before going live with you, Brian. Those shuttle services are back open after you can see what looks like a sandy, dusty, rocky rockfall here at the national park. You can see this cyclist kind of shocked about what they're seeing there.
The death of Dolly Parton hits people, really across the world, but here in Utah, we were looking into just recently her program here in the state. What can people find on our website right now pertaining to that?
You can kind of see the local ties Dolly Parton meant to the state of Utah. Of course, she did kind of do some work of helping, spread the goodness of reading here in Utah for the youth here, and helped join a local nonprofit here in Utah to help kids read more books. And
you can also learn more just about the evolving sort of tributes, if you will, from people here, state leaders, you name it, on our website, KUTV.com. And you have a gallery here.
Gallery of over 200 photos just of the life of the country superstar legend that
icon.
Was Dolly Parton.
Icon. Whether you knew her for one, the other, she was everywhere. She will be missed, and that is just an understatement. Jonathan, thank you very much. As always, you can find a lot of our in-depth conversations on our YouTube page. That would be KUTV.com. You see that QR code on your screen right now. Grab your phone, scan in, and subscribe today. Something we talked about yesterday here with the chief of police in Cedar City, and somewhat of an update on this case. A Canaraville man is facing felony charges after police say he helped destroy a Flock camera. Remember, Flock is the brand. A lot of these are different brands as well. That man is now being identified as Cody Nyborg. He and another man were stopped in Cedar City, which is where we had that live look for you this afternoon, where police found tools they say were used to cut down the camera. And one of the men told police he got the idea from social media. We did speak with Chief Darren Adams about this yesterday, so go back onto our YouTube page and watch that conversation to learn more about this. UVU now launching a new scholarship for high school students who take college courses through its concurrent enrollment program there. A live look from Orem this afternoon. Qualifying students can get up to $20,000 over 4 years, depending on how many college credits they earn before graduating. So Utahns, I found this one great. I clicked on this article a few minutes ago to look at this. Utahns are searching for the meanings behind some of the internet's strangest slang terms with a new study named The Top Words and Phrases. Here are some of them. I don't use them in everyday speech, but maybe some of you do. Based, chopped, and then, you know, if I didn't have the iPad in the hand, the 6-7 thing, which we've all learned doesn't have a real meaning. So the study analyzed Google search data from January through August, showing just how quickly internet language is making its way into everyday conversations. Maybe that'll be my goal for you here every day at 3:30, where I throw in some just ridiculous slang term here and see if you notice it. And if you do get it, maybe we'll get you a prize. How about that? Coming up live here next, a safe way to school doesn't look the same for all students. We are hearing your concerns on 2 News Listens. Back here on 2 News Listens, we are always listening to what you are saying, primarily on social media, for example, Reddit, Instagram, Facebook. And we try to take a lot of those questions, maybe even concerns, and get some answers for some of these. So a mother actually says her daughter's already faced bullying during the first week of school. She says her daughter's been pushed, made fun of, left feeling kind of like an outcast. And her post is urging others, specifically parents, talk with your kids about kindness, inclusion, and just feeling connected to each other, right? It's something that I think a lot of parents is maybe a worst nightmare, especially when the school series of different classes and everything starts out of a new school year. So Rich Stoll with the Alpine School District, kind enough to join us here on 2 News Live this afternoon. Rich, it's always good to have you, regardless of the topic, because it's good, valuable insight, especially for some parents here. How do you handle, first and foremost, bullying reports within the district?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Brian. This is an important topic. Every child deserves an environment free from bullying, free from harassment, where they can learn and grow and thrive. And so we want to eliminate all these negative things out of our schools. It is kind of a heavy topic, but there's opportunities for growth here. We're always figuring out how to address these cases of bullying. We don't want our students to go through it, but when they do go through that, we want them to learn the tools to overcome these challenges. And one of those is just talking to an adult. So at a school, no matter what the age of the student is, first step for any student is to talk to an adult. Find an adult that they trust and go let them know what's going on, because our professionals can't help these students unless they know what they're going through.
Rich, what should parents do at home when talking about this topic, or maybe even if their child comes home and shares something that would reflect the topic of bullying?
Yeah, the first thing that we do in our schools is to try to provide a safe environment where students can learn and they can talk about difficult things. And so at home, we encourage parents to do the same thing. Make your home a safe place where students can talk about difficult things. And sometimes it can be embarrassing for a younger student or even an older student who gets bullied. They might not want to bring it up with their parents. And so we encourage parents to provide that environment where, you can talk about any kind of a challenge. And that could be maybe opening up to your children about some of the struggles you're having at work. Get those conversations going. The second thing is we encourage parents to develop strong relationships with their students' teachers and administrators, because that partnership between parents and educators is really going to benefit the students. In the best of times, it works well because we can find out what students need to thrive. And when things go badly, say in an episode of bullying, we can respond more quickly and more individually to that child's needs.
Rich, thank you for breaking this down for us and also talking about a heavy topic. I think these are important conversations. So thank you for joining us here this afternoon on 2 News
Appreciate
Live.
it.
We hope to have you back again soon. Absolutely. So sticking with school here, this is one of those things that we're seeing as more kids are heading back to school. Parents are also navigating what those challenges look like, or maybe the challenge was over the summer. But a Silver Lake parent is raising concerns about her children walking to school. The district's 2-mile busing guideline means her children are expected to walk. Here's some of those comments from Jessica saying she's been frustrated for years with some transportation, and they're putting our kids in danger, they say, and not providing a bus. She says the walk requires crossing Pony Express without a crosswalk. Other parents in the community are also calling the route dangerous for students. Some of the other comments on here from Samantha, they're overcrowded, undersupervised. We've reached out and know that options also include a new crosswalk, some crossing guards, or even additional bus services. But again, this would have probably been a good conversation to have with Rich here. We could have done a twofold, so maybe we'll try to do that here and get a little bit more context here. Let's head out to Vernal for our friends in the Basin. A Vernal resident says packages are being marked as delivered and signed for when they actually have not arrived. Is this a porch pirate or is this some issues? Well, she turned to the community to have some help contacting local USPS. We did the same thing for them as well. Here's the comment from Alice. Can someone please get in touch with USPS and the local terminal? Our packages keep saying they have been delivered and signed for, and they have not been. So the issue has prompted others to share their concerns about some missing or misdelivered packages. And we reached out to local USPS. And they say customers should check, obviously, the tracking details. We got a live look for you this afternoon. Their property, the neighbors, building management. If a package is marked delivered but it isn't there, I can imagine some of these things will happen in complexes, if you will, dropped off at the wrong door. They say contact them as soon as possible when mail is lost. And that is something that you can take with you really across the state as well, not just in the Uinta Basin, but in some of our busy areas where USPS has a lot of work to be done. As always, we're hearing from you here on social media. 2 News listens to you every single day. We take those questions, those comments, those concerns from Reddit, Instagram, Facebook, you name it, and we ask those questions and get the conversation going right here. Every afternoon at 3:30, we're back to wrap things up right after this.
From our Main Street newsroom, this is 2 News Live at 3:30.
Just shy of 4 o'clock here on a Tuesday afternoon. Let's get an early check at the commute, shall we? Lehigh right now up on your screen, and typically that point of the mountain area, we can see a little congestion, especially heading northbound, southbound. People coming from Salt Lake City, heading back home, if you will. And we'll keep an eye on the roads as we always do. Right here coming up on 2 News at 4 o'clock. We'll see if anything is going on here. As we look a little further south there in Orem, we talked a little bit about UVU during the show here, but things are relatively quiet, especially on those city streets before reaching the freeway. And again, we'll take a look at the traffic situation here throughout Utah County as we head a little further south to the Payson area once the UDOT camera wants to just get it all figured out. Maybe not, but Payson should be going just fine right now. We'll keep an eye on some things as we make our way through the afternoon. We talked about tariffs. This is a big worldwide conversation that have real impacts here at home. It's a story we talked to you a few minutes about just briefly, but going in depth here as we bring in Jim Spiewak. What are you looking at in terms of tariffs today? I know Canada now in the conversation here again saying we're going to bounce back on what has been thrust our way here. And as a trade partner, we have a lot that goes across the border.
You talk to experts, and they essentially say that Canada's done with the Trump administration when it comes to trying to negotiate in good faith. And so they're really parting ways, for lack of a better term here. And so we asked an expert that is a trade advisor to World Trade Center Utah. So this is a guy that deals in trade deals with a number of different countries, Canada included, about what this means for the Utah family. We wanted to take sort of a Utah family focus around this because Canada has a ton of industries that could impact us here in Utah. Think of things like lumber. We need lumber to build homes and all kinds of building. Energy is another huge one. And so we asked what types of industries may be impacted by this that could impact Utahns. I don't want to give it away right now. Here's a bit of a spoiler alert. He did say that there's one specific industry that he's most concerned about that will almost certainly have an impact to Utah families. He's going to tell us what that is coming up.
I was waiting for the real spoiler alert. Okay.
Coming up here in just a few minutes on 2 News at 4 o'clock. But he also mentioned to me that he's been on the phone pretty much all day talking with Utah businesses about how this is going to impact their business going forward. So he says while that might not necessarily impact Utahns back here at home, a lot of Utah businesses are really concerned about what it means for their businesses here, but that could impact jobs here as well.
It seems like the tariff conversation is something added on top of each other, every week.
And it's always changing.
It's always changing.
It's always
Something's
changing.
getting, something's getting lessened, if you will, and then when somebody feels the need to ramp it back up, the others have to respond because it is a deal at the end of the day. So it sounds like Canada at this point is just kind of fed up.
And this particular expert was saying that Canada has pretty much parted ways from what a lot of other allies with the United States has done. Those allies have basically done what President Trump has wanted to do. Canada has broken rank in that regard and said, we're going to go on it on our own. We know that this might impact our economy in Canada. So they're going about it a lot different way.
All right, Jim Spiewak, that conversation coming up at 4:15. 2 News at 4 right after this.